When someone we care about passes on, we're often left thinking about their legacy and how to honor them. But what about the duties they may have left unfulfilled? Today, we're diving into a really profound question of faith. What do we do about a loved one's missed prayers, and is there a way to help settle that final spiritual account?
It's a question that many of us could face one day. What actually happens to all the daily prayers a person might have missed throughout their life? Is that it? Or can their family step in and help settle that spiritual debt? Well, let's explore the guidance that tackles this very personal and very important issue.
All right, so the first thing to understand is that from this perspective, missed obligatory prayers, or Qazah Namaz, are seen as a kind of spiritual debt that a person leaves behind. And because of that, helping to fulfill this duty is considered a final, powerful act of love and service for them.
So, if it's a debt, how do you pay it back? Well, the answer lies in a specific kind of charitable payment known as Fidiya. Let's break down what exactly that means.
At its core, Fidiya is a redemptive payment. Think of it as a form of charitable compensation for a religious duty that, for whatever reason, didn't get done. In this specific case, it means a payment is made for every single obligatory prayer that the person missed in their lifetime.
Okay, and this is where it starts to get pretty wild. This spiritual obligation isn't just a concept. It gets translated into a very specific monetary value. And trust me, the way this calculation unfolds can lead to some absolutely staggering numbers.
First things first, you have to figure out the time frame. The clock starts at the age of religious maturity, or baligh. If you don't know that exact age, the guidance is to use a conservative starting point of 12 years old. From there, you just calculate all the years up until their passing. And we're talking about all the obligatory or fard prayers plus the additional witr prayer each day.
So next up, you assign a value to each of those missed prayers. Now, according to the source material this is based on, from back in late 2020, the Fidiya for a single prayer was tied to the value of Sadaqat al-Fitr, which came out to about 100 Indian rupees. Now, 100 rupees, that doesn't sound too bad, right? But that little number is the building block for everything else.
And this is where the numbers just explode. With 6 prayers a day at 100 rupees each, you're already at 600 rupees for just one day. That quickly becomes 18,000 rupees in a month. And for a single year, a whopping 216,000 rupees. You can see how fast this thing compounds into a massive figure.
So, what does this look like over an entire lifetime? Well, let's say someone lived to be 60. If you start calculating from age 12, that's 48 years of prayers. The grand total for the Fidiya could easily go over 1 crore rupees. We're talking more than 10 million. It's an absolutely overwhelming sum. Which, of course, brings us to a very big question.
I mean, that's the real challenge here, right? That amount of money is just financially impossible for most families. So if the obligation is that high, is there any practical, permissible way to fulfill it without going completely broke?
Well, thankfully, the answer is yes. Religious scholars have actually laid out a specific, sanctioned method to handle this exact situation. It's a concept known as the hila shar'i, and it's basically a permissible strategy that provides a practical way forward. Now, it's really important to get this. A hila sharia is not a loophole. It's not some trick to get out of a duty. It's a structured, approved process designed specifically to make a seemingly impossible religious obligation achievable for regular people. Okay, so how in the world does this work? The process is very, very specific. Every single step has to be followed just right for it to be valid. So let's walk through the breakdown. Here's how it all unfolds. First, you find someone who is eligible to receive charity, a fakir shar'i. Then you give them a manageable amount of money, say 1 year's worth of Fidiya, and you make it crystal clear that this is payment for the deceased's obligation. Now the next parts are absolutely critical. That person must take full legal possession of the money. It is now theirs, no strings attached. Then, completely on their own, out of their own free will, they gift that same amount of money right back to you. And you, in turn, have to take full possession of that gift. This cycle, giving the money as Fidiya and then receiving it back as a gift, is repeated over and over until the entire, huge calculated debt is symbolically covered.
So why does this process, which seems kind of circular, even exist? Well, it's all rooted in the principles of mercy and practicality. It's there to provide a way for people to fulfill a massive duty that would otherwise be completely out of reach for almost everyone.
In fact, Maulana Ilyas Qadri, the source of this guidance, really sums up the wisdom behind it perfectly. He says, "This is what the scholars have written.
Otherwise, not everyone can pay such a large amount. There is ease in this. I mean, it's that simple. The method exists because the alternative is an unbearable burden.
So the main takeaway here is that the Hila is a compassionate provision. It's a way to make sure that this profound spiritual duty, settling a loved one's missed prayers, can actually be met by anyone, no matter what their financial situation is. It upholds both the seriousness of the duty and the spirit of mercy.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This whole process shows a fascinating balance between a huge lifelong obligation on one hand and a really practical, merciful solution on the other. It really makes you think, how does that interplay between strict duty and compassionate ease shape how we understand our religious responsibilities as a whole?